Hello everyone, again. Today we will not be completing, but merely showcasing the original Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo Entertainment Center. Now, these type of games, Zelda, Zelda 1, and also Metroid, most definitely show that back in the day, video games did not hold your hand. In fact, you might not even really realize it when playing modern games unless you go back to the old retro difficulty style games that are merciless and kill you like crazy. And you just have to get good. I mean, a lot of times, yes, there are strategies and whatever, but you have to get good. Am I that good? No, because I was never able to access or play any of these games outside of like the ones I've already shown, Mario. So my first actual exposure to The Legend of Zelda 1 and 2 was from this actually fairly super rare Nintendo GameCube disc, the Ultimate Zelda Collection. You couldn't buy this, so it's actually pretty rare, and of course mine's in like new condition. It contains The Legend of Zelda 1, The Legend of Zelda 2, Zelda Ocarina of Time, and Zelda Majora's Mask, as well as a playable demo of Zelda Wind Waker. So I can't quite exactly remember the story of how I got this. I'm pretty sure my friend bought a special bundle, GameCube bundle, and then since I was interested in this, he either sold it to me or gave it to me. Can't quite remember. But in any event, this was the first time I could actually play Zelda 1 or 2, and my goodness, I didn't beat them. It wasn't until much later when I got my Nintendo 3DS and became a 3DS ambassador with the 10 free Nintendo games, as well as 10 free Game Boy Advance games, that I was also once again given for free Zelda 1 and Zelda 2. And so by that time, I'm like, all right, it's time that I get down and beat those games. So that was the first time I beat them. So as you can see, even though I got good and could beat them in that context, at least here and now I'm only going to showcase for probably less than 30 minutes total Zelda 1 and explain a few things about it. So let's go ahead and get started here. Pardon me for just a moment. Alright, now that I've got my sound fixed, stabilized, and ready to go. So what's interesting is this game actually does have some sort of memory. So, fun fact, almost my whole life, the video game name that I've always used is Bjorn, and so therefore you will see this in all of my games that I stream. Alright, so now I'm saved. I have 3 hearts. Alright, now here's where we begin. And here's where you get the sword. Classic Nintendo line, it's dangerous to go alone, take this. And just like that, I will now forever have the sword, which I can now shoot. If you are at full health, notice it fires the sword like that. Now, why some people are way too good... Oops, I forgot to start my timer here. Some people are way too good because they have challenges, like sick, twisted challenges. Can they beat the entire game with 3 hearts and no continues? Or if that wasn't enough, can they beat the entire game without ever even collecting the sword? It boggles my mind. But I'll go ahead and show you. I don't need to even take intentional deaths at all because I will most likely game over very quickly anyways. But no matter where you game over from on the overworld, you always will start back on that exact same introductory screen. So very similar to Super Mario Bros. 2, you might notice every time we scroll the screen, it kind of scrolls, loads. Oh, now see, that I no longer have full health, I can no longer shoot my sword, so the game becomes harder. what is cool, and a lot of people love the original Zelda game for, is the fact that you can actually sequence break a lot of stuff. You don't have to beat every single dungeon in order. The only one you have to do in a specific order is you have to do the final dungeon last, because the only way to get into it, without using glitches, is you have to have all of the 7 previous bosses defeated. Whoa! And can you imagine, like, yes, I'm at low health, I understand this, but I seriously have to endure this beeping noise forever? Like, who programmed this? Alright, so incidentally, this is the first and arguably most easy to find first level. And when you enter it, notice it does say level 1. Also, fun fact, evidently when this game was first created, only the dungeons were created. So you were supposed to beat level 1, and then you advance to level 2, and so on, and beat the game. It wasn't until essentially at the end of the development that it was decided, hey, let's make it a little interesting and make the overworld, place these in the overworld, which probably added a lot to the Legend of Zelda games. Alright, one other thing, that beeping is going to drive me crazy. If you die or game over inside any given dungeon, you at least get to respawn there. But one very unfortunate design flaw about it is you respawn, but you only respawn with 3 hearts. Like, you can eventually collect tons, like I think it's 2 whole rows of hearts across the life meter there. And I mean, straight up, if you die, the game should at least be merciful enough to give you full health to start. But no, in this game, if you do that and restart with 3 hearts, you essentially have to go find hearts, find a fairy to refill your hearts, and it's plain and simply not fair. So I'll get as far as I can, just kind of in a wandering fashion, because I also would argue that it's a little bit too harsh that if you happen to game over, even if you're in the far corners of Hyrule, you have to respawn way back where you started. And the further you go, the enemies start to do more damage, which is why you have essential progressive power-ups that make you take more hits. You can upgrade your sword, and so you can do more damage. Why, look. So we start all the way over. Fun fact, the guy who's been in charge of making Zelda games since Ocarina of Time played this original game and died or game overed so fast, he's like, wow, I never want to make a game that is that hard. And so he didn't. Zelda Ocarina of Time is most definitely nowhere near the difficulty as Zelda 1 and 2 for Nintendo, as well as Zelda Link to the Past for Super Nintendo. So at least I think it would be nice to finish, or at least attempt to finish, our first level here. So you can kind of see the action / puzzle elements in play in the original Zelda game. So a lot of times there's like puzzles that aren't necessarily obvious that it's a puzzle. So you kind of have to just explore every single room, and sometimes you unlock something by defeating every enemy in the room. So that skeleton actually was carrying a key. And what's interesting is you can use keys in any dungeon level. And then eventually, I believe it is one of the later dungeons, like Dungeon 7, there's the Master Key, in which you can then unlock all doors. You don't need to collect these keys that break after one use, which is actually kind of cool. And again, that adds to the effect of the whole sequence breaking, because hey, why not, if we know where that is, go get the Master Key, what items are required to get that Master Key, and then we can go and not have to worry about getting keys in every single dungeon the way that it was like programmed and intended to. Now, how do I activate the map? So notice here, the map option is pretty decent, especially if you're trying to solve these puzzle-like dungeons. In my opinion, the drop rate of hearts is unnecessarily small. Here's another weird thing. Sometimes you unlock something by pushing a block, but it's not that you just push the block anywhere. Sometimes it can only be pushed in a certain direction. Which, again, how fair is that exactly? I'm not sure. But 4 blocks, 4 possible sides, so 16 tests. We unlock nothing there. Alright, classic Zelda items. Oh boy. The compass will always show the treasures on the map. Give you some bearings. So notice now, I will see the flashing red and then the green. Just make sure nothing else is hidden here. I'm pretty sure though you do get to keep the keys in the event that I die. Alright, now that is also classic Zelda mechanic. I get put in this room and the door closes, so I have to finish the little task at hand, which in this case is defeat all of the bats. And wow, lovely, I get to listen to that piercing, beeping music once again. In fact, I would also argue, going back to the drop rate percentage, there you go. The drop rate percentage, I think it's way too low for anything. Like, for example, when I eventually get bombs, you have to go and like randomly RNG get a bomb drop to stock your bombs. And it's like, it's very frustrating, especially in the sense that sometimes Eastmost Peninsula is the secret. In an almost English sentence. So like, for example, you might have noticed that pretty much the only doors are here or where the 3 that you see there. That's the only spots you ever see doors and pathways. So sometimes pathways are hidden. So like, for example, in later dungeons, if I drop a bomb here, maybe it would blow open a door and then that's the way that you have to go. Problem is, if you don't know, you waste all your bombs just to test every single blank wall to see, oh, is this a explodable wall? Granted, you do have the map, so notice the green is me. So there's not really a huge point in going down because there's already an unexplored room there. Alright, and then that is the map. So now I can see the entire map. And notice the flashing red, I believe, is the boss. So that's ultimately where I want to go. Ah yes, the boomerang throwing dudes. Oh boy. Once you get the map though, see you... Oh, snap! You can at least see where... Oh yeah, this is interesting. Caution to avoid damaging save info saved. Hold in reset button as you turn power off. Sad. Let me see where I am here. Oh man. There it is. These are kind of like little shortcuts sometimes. Oh no. Sometimes they like take you to a different part of the dungeon, but here we finally have a bow. So now I need to, I believe, equip it. Or not. Can't quite remember. Oh wait, no. I need arrows first, right? Whew. Well, in any event, let's get this show on the road. Need that. Ah, okay, there we go. So now I have that item. So see, in theory, you get other damaging items on the swordless sort of challenge playthrough. Man, they're all over the place! No! Yeah, that takes you back to the beginning of the level. Nice heart doctor. There it is. Oh no! Back, you fiends, back! Ooh, money. Well, sheesh, yeah, now that I have full health, isn't it so nice that, a heart spawns for me. You do keep the, oh yeah, that's right. No! Hitting the wrong button. I can't remember if, yeah, that doesn't damage. So a lot of the early bosses are kind of actually fun and fair as far as you can dodge stuff. Some of the later ones, it's like, it's frustratingly hard to actually dodge stuff. Whoa! Whew! So notice, once I get that, it permanently increases my health. I've beat the first level, so I get a Triforce shard. And then like I said, the further you get away from that starting point, the harder the enemies get. The higher level it is, the more difficult the actual areas and temples, dungeons, whatever they're called, are. It's pretty insane, honestly. So I hope you enjoyed the Legend of Zelda showcase. I'm actually kind of surprised I was able to beat that about 18 minutes. Oh yeah, that's a fairy. There is a fairy fountain. I guess I can't open up a map on the overworld though. Which is kind of like the only option you have if you are attempting a dungeon, game over, and then have a meager 3 hearts. You have to go all the way to the fairy fountain, grab it so that you can have full hearts, then get all the way back, hopefully without taking any hits, to the dungeon level that you were trying to do, and then try it again. Even if you had some sort of legit save state, for example, let's just say now I have 4 hearts, right? Let's say I was maxed out. If I got to level 2, why not make a legit save state there? At which point, if I died, I wouldn't cheat inside the temple, but if I did die, I could just restore that save state and have all of my hearts and attempt the whole dungeon again. Alright, so here's some things you can actually buy keys if you are willing to farm rupees. I'm pretty sure you have to buy this candle for some reason, and then here's the shield. That is a bigger shield and protects you, I think, from more things. Can't quite remember. Buy something, will ya? And then there's the hidden shops that have the ring that it's up here somewhere. A secret shop that is you buy a red ring, and then every time you take damage, you only take half of the damage. There's something secret here, you need the flame or something to burn one of these or something. Can't quite remember. But notice that giant shield was 160 rupees in that other cave. Here it's 130. And here's some arrows for my bow that I have. I guess you can, technically speaking, buy bombs also, but it's ridiculous because rupees are kind of hard to come by too. Aha. Why did it take so long to load? So there's the ring. If I had, I should have looked up some RAM addresses. I could hack myself an infinite number of rupees and just kind of buy all of this stuff so I could showcase it off. But anyways, I think I'll go ahead and stop there. 20 minutes is pretty good for a game that's kind of difficult for me to play. If I were to sit here and play and play and play and play, I could probably beat the game in a matter of 6, 7, 8 hours, somewhere in there. But in any event, I hope you enjoyed that showcase. I'll actually be showcasing Zelda 2 off here in a bit, but I do want to show off this as well. Speaking of, pretty rare GameCube discs of Zelda, here's another one. Here is a GameCube disc of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and the Master's Quest. So I can't wait to stream probably Ocarina of Time. It's a very classic, in my opinion, overly deified game due to the fact that you have games like Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess, and even, I haven't played Breath of the Wild yet, but I hear it's one of the greatest Zelda games of all time. So in any event, Ocarina of Time is an amazing game though. And so the Master's Quest, the one here, essentially is the exact same game except with a lot of tweaks and differences to make it incredibly more difficult. In fact, some of the dungeons are only beatable by virtue of you have to use some weird in-game mechanics that you're not required to use in Ocarina of Time. Like, for example, if you are holding a two-handed weapon and block with the shield, you crouch lower than if you were to crouch with the shield normally. And so there's like this one obstacle where you have to do that double hand weapon wielding crouch to get under a spike wheel thing. So that's kind of cool. But anyways, I'll go ahead and close this stream out and then get ready for Zelda 2. See you later. Bye.